Hello, everyone. I'm Christina, and it's still kind of early in the morning. I don't know what this is. Oh, well, we're going to leave that spot today. Hello, I hope everyone is good. We're just waiting for a few people to get in, but that's okay. I want to encourage everyone to like and subscribe, share, and definitely say hello in the live chat. We've got quite a bit to talk about today because a lot of things have been going on. We know that we live in a binary solar system. We found out that every solar system, a connecting twin solar system, and they interact with each other sometimes. It just so happens that our binary solar system was thought of as a myth for so long because the ancient writings they talked about Nibiru and the Blue Star and the Kachina and nobody really knew what they were talking about. Now we know what they're talking about. Now we know why they said that it would come back someday because it's an orbital thing. It has to come back. It has no choice. That's perpetual motion for you. That's the order of the heavens. All right, but you're gonna see signs on Earth. Okay, fires, droughts, floods, weird things. And that is what we're going to be talking about today that we've been seeing just over the last week because we know where the trumpet sounds came from now. We know that when our shield went down because of this huge planet and all its moons coming with it, this huge planet that's magnetized, right? It started interfering with our magnetosphere, right? So we started having magnetic pole reversal symptoms, which is a precursor to actual pole shifts, that crust roll on the mantle. Okay. But getting back to this trumpet sound thing, when our magnetosphere started having issues, it let in particles that got to our core that caused it to expand. So that equilibrium on our mantle between the core and space became pressurized in a way that was not cool. So we started hearing it started letting off this tone and it would come out of the earth like a trumpet or grinding and it would hit our atmosphere and bounce back. So we couldn't tell where it was coming from, but it was below our feet. But that causes a lot of problems. That means that everything above the core, including volcanoes, dormant volcanoes that were once dormant, all of these tectonics, they're going to be moving around. And it's that mid-continental rift that's in America. That's where our continent almost split to begin with. It just didn't for some reason, but that doesn't mean that it can't finish the work. Mike from around the world is saying that the Grand Canyon is going to be shut. It's just going to shut. And it didn't take thousands or millions of years for it to be made. It was done fairly quickly and it's going to be shut. All right, so this is just so far America what I'm talking about, but there's a lot going on around the world that is just, we were waiting because we knew that as this body got closer, that we would start seeing the blood rivers, the blood moons, the extreme winds, extreme lightning, the animal deaths, because when you realize that every species runs off of its own frequency and that certain frequencies can kill off entire species. So if you're getting a certain frequency that's going off in a certain part of the world and then you see a whole bunch of sheep just die with no injuries whatsoever, they just drop dead, there's such intense pressure there that it lets off those frequencies, but it's also eroding things that are underneath our feet. It's causing these sinkholes, and it like in Galveston when you saw that blue water, we have salt pockets underneath the seafloor, and those caverns ruptured. One of them at least. Okay, so what we're seeing right now, and this is something that is not being reported, but I'm telling you, when I first felt it, I really honestly was scared to even talk about it with anybody around here. And that was about 2 years ago. And then recently, my neighbors have been coming and telling me that they're feeling it too. And I'm in the North Houston, Montgomery County line. Okay. We're feeling tremors under our feet. We're feeling them. There will be nothing around. It can be the middle of the night, not a single semi truck, nothing. And all of a sudden, there's this underneath our feet. There's this rattling. Okay, so we are feeling it, but nobody's talking about it. It's definitely not in the news, and it's not just me. Okay. So when I said that I've been noticing, gas pockets around Houston releasing, salt pockets releasing, the San Jacinto River in Kingwood became milky white because some kind of pocket got ruptured there and turned the water white for a little while. Things are happening around the Houston area, not to mention this new, what did they call it in the news recently? Water in Houston suburb might be tainted with a brain-eating microbe. Okay, that's another thing that this magnetosphere issue, this whole magnet shield radiation, all this together, it causes viruses to mutate, to become very powerful, to reawaken. And we noticed the last 3 years that Galveston in June, people were getting flesh eating bacteria. They were dying from it, just from swimming in the Gulf of Mexico. So now we've got in Houston, looks like something a little further north, right off the Gulf, another body eating organism is attacking the human body. Okay, in the Houston, and this is just Houston. We're just getting started. Okay. All right. In other parts of the world, we can start with South Carolina first. They're having an issue with, oh gosh, I think I have it right here. Yeah, South Carolina is sinking. It says a missing piece in Charleston sea level rise puzzle is what's, I guess, baffling scientists every time. Yeah, it's what's happening on the land. Okay, a missing piece in Charleston sea level rise puzzle is what's happening on land. Okay, and this goes, they're wondering why the water's taking over. This is the East Coast, okay? But on the West Coast, where we've got California, we've got all these wildfires. And that tells you that there's a tilting, sort of. The Great Expansion Earth Theory talked about this some years ago. And basically, it said that the West Coast would begin to rise and the East Coast would kind of start to sink a little bit, okay? And when I see these fires in California, I see that they have a lot of magma that's coming up. And I think that a lot of these fires are starting actually from underground. I really do. I really do. But when you think about this tilt thing, it kind of gives you like a Titanic kind of situation. If you can see that ship just starting to tilt, right? Eventually, there's a break. Okay. And there are places in America where, like the mid-continental rift, it can break. And I'm pretty sure it comes right out of the Great Lakes. So what we're looking at is kind of a sinking ship in general. Okay. And we're seeing issues on all three United States coasts. All right. But then we go looking at Mexico. And even Mike from around the world was talking about this rift in Mexico. Now, I'm pretty sure that I've seen one before. I don't know if it's continuation or if this is a new rift, but that just lets you know the kind of pressure when the earth is opening up. Like if you get an injury, little cut, and it swells and it opens that cut up, that's sort of what's happening. The earth is opening up. It's trying to relieve. So we're going to have pressure. We got that lock subduction zone. It's not just the Cascadia. There's a lock place down by Los Angeles, right out there in the water too. And then you got that magma, and it goes, something is going on all the way down into Mexico, and then on up to the Texas Gulf Coast, right into Louisiana. It's looking really unstable. And yesterday was a really odd earthquake day. You could just really see where the pressure it was hitting everything. It was hitting some odd places in the West. It was hitting, I think it was New Mexico or Arizona, the New Madrid Fault, and like Texas up, it's still having like 38 earthquakes generally every month. That's really high, and to say that, yeah, I know we're feeling them here where I'm talking about that North Houston area up here. We are feeling occasional tremors. It's just because the geography that we live in, it's harder for us to feel that the closer we are to the water, but we are. I'm telling you, we are. That isn't good because where Houston sits right now, it used to be covered by water for a really going on up closer to Dallas. Was a lot of Texas was underwater. So That's why we have a lot of salt beds that we can access around here, because salt uh, caverns, they usually kind of are under the seabed. Okay, so right now we're looking at solar winds have been coming in again recently. So you're going to have problems with your electronics, satellites, communications, internet, um, breakers popping, fuses popping. It once people will be irritable, but it's not just solar winds coming through. That there was some kind of CME that's coming up off the sun that's probably supposed to hit us today around right now. I think it actually started hitting us a couple of days ago because my breakers started popping. Then it happens. The certain one always pops when it's coming in, and I'll be like, dang, I wonder if there's solar wind. The next day I'll hear, oh yeah, we're being impacted, and they'll say it's coming in a couple of days. I'm like, no, it's, to me, it's already here. It's already affecting me. All right, but the way it's affecting the people, it's wild. But you're also seeing auroras. They were talking about how in Finland the auroras were super color pink, and it turns out, because I went ahead and read up on it just a little bit, and it says the pink northern lights, on very rare occasions, once every 10 years or so, the aurora can be a deep blood red color from top to bottom. Okay, but what Mike from around the world had been saying, and I completely agree with him, is that a lot of people, when these auroras started showing up, and he's even talked about auroras that we might start seeing as far south as Florida. Okay, but this one is in Finland. But when we see these pretty auroras, that we're going to want to look at them and think how pretty they are, but we shouldn't be outside looking at them, because we're just basically killing ourselves. The radiation, cancer causing, all this stuff, that they're actually really dangerous. And he's right. Okay. We're also getting an influx of asteroids. We know that. And I mean, if you think about it, okay, we can go through asteroid fields. We can have asteroids and meteors pass us by. But if we've got a body in space that is so big that it's pushing debris in front of it and it starts flying at us, then we could see another increase that way also. Okay. And then we're going to move to England. And in England, they recently reported some very unusual weather for them. And that included some crazy hail that they just normally don't get. And see, that's how magnetic pole reversal works, is you start getting weather you never saw before. Not only that, but you'll start noticing people complaining about the meteorologists and how they can't do their job. Well, the truth is, the more we get into this, the less than meteorologists will be able to predict a lot of things. That's the truth. Okay. There's still going to be a degree of predictability, but we're going to have to start coming clean and stop acting like, Earth is just under its normal umbrella of regulation, and stability. It's we've got to realize that it doesn't matter about the solar maximum. We're in a magnetic pole reversal. That is the real true problem. Okay. And it's impacting absolutely everything. And that includes our jobs, our way of life, entertainment. It's affecting our families. It's affecting our moods, our ability to work. All right. Our health. All right. And what this does is this takes us back. Okay. Recently, we knew that we all got a call. And I don't think this was just for America. I think it was for the world to repent. And we really didn't. We didn't. Okay. And this goes back to, remember when Jerusalem, the fall of the Jerusalem back in 70 AD, they sent Jeremiah, and they were doing great. They couldn't see how things could just go so wrong, so bad for that way. They couldn't even see it. And you know what? A lot of us can't either. And you've heard Americans and other people saying everything is fine. How can this happen? But it did happen. And I remember there was a Bible verse that I was reading about. It said that God noticed all their tinkling things. He would, like the ankle bracelets and their painted faces and all their goodly items that they had, and that he was going to start taking all that away. And in our time, we hear how God is going to cause a great shaking. Okay. And yes, that is the earth, but I think it also applies to our belief system, no matter what religion we are in or lack of religion and the confusion among Christians, like, is the rapture going to be then? Is it going to be before anything bad happens? Because eventually those boxes are going to be checked off. When he's already taken our goodly things. Right now, the hotel, the airlines, and the theaters, they're all, that's our entertainment. Okay, so he's taking away all of these things that can distract us, that can make us feel better, that we enjoyed. He's starting to take all those things, those goodly things, away, like he did back in the day. All right. Yeah, I think we high five, Flames. Very nice to see you. I'm really glad you made it this morning. Okay, so what we need to really be paying attention to, especially with the moods that everybody's been getting into, there was an article, I know it came out maybe a day or two ago, about in Pakistan, a Christian was killed for his or her Christian beliefs that they just wouldn't waver from. That to me, it is a fifth seal martyr kind of thing. Not that there won't be tribulation martyrs, but the fifth seal martyrs were more of a last days things with the rise in persecution when things were really starting to get ramped up. And so whenever I see this happening around the world, and you kind of realize that here in America, we haven't had that same kind of issue on that level. But I'm telling you, it's starting to climb, it's starting to happen, and it should continue to get worse. Okay. And if Dana Coverstone is right about this winter being the winter that a lot of these prophetic events, like the economic collapse, the famine, martial law, the asteroid in the Gulf, some kind of disaster in Texas. If this is the year, wow. Wow. I don't think it's necessarily one thing at a time. I think it's kind of a building of everything, and it all kind of hits at once. So I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to go ahead and go for now. But I just really think that it was just important to talk about what's happening to the earth, how it's affecting us, and how it related to Bible prophecy, where we are. I think that I knew that the worldwide famine, when it did happen, it would start in certain places of the world. And then in America, there would start to be little shortages on the shelves, and then eventually rationing, which I think is happening right now. And then it's going to go eventually to just what you can carry out of your arms. And I knew there would be really long lines of people standing, because I'm not so sure because maybe abandoned cars, kind of gasoline thing. I don't know if that's why they're standing there like that, but they are. Okay, so this just can't get, and I already heard that the northern states, I've been hearing reports from people that things are disappearing on the shelves there too, and that in some cases they're already starting the rationing. All right, that's the third horseman. Okay, we're heading into some times. This is where we need to be careful. This is where we need to be on our toes. This isn't a time to think, like, to bury your head in the sand. You've got to, forewarned is forearmed. Knowledge is power. And, so maybe we do get raptured out of here. I'm not going to argue that, because you know what? I don't know God's timetable on that. I don't know. But I want to plan for the worst and hope for the best. I don't want to assume that I'm exempt from anything. You know what I mean? I would rather be prepared. And that's what you call a wise virgin bride, right? Somebody that's prepared. Okay. Love y'all. I'm going to go ahead and get off the horn. Don't forget to hit like, and I will talk to you later. Bye. And stream.